Let's go!
Yes, sir.
Today we are discussing by far the biggest recruiting failure of the Sam Pittman era, and this is just a perfect encapsulation as to why Arkansas probably should have moved on from the head hog this offseason. So in the background, you're looking at Carius Curne. This is a top 100 elite four-star offensive lineman from Marion. You're taking a look at his profile, and obviously on three, basically thinks he is a five-star. So he committed to Arkansas back in February just for him to decommit and open up options to Missouri and LSU. Some Arkansas reporters thought that they were back in the lead just a few weeks ago, but eventually the LSU Tigers, who have been absolutely killing it when it comes to offensive line recruiting, was able to get the athletic marvel. So what does this actually mean for Sam Pittman's recruiting efforts moving forward for the Razorbacks? Well, I'll give you my thoughts. Obviously, I'm very plugged in to both of these schools. I cover both of these schools probably more so than any other. You can make a case. I do a lot of Tennessee. I do a lot of Georgia content. But still, I'll give you everything that I know and how I feel. And I understand I have been labeled the anti-Sam Pittman guy. But I'm just going to tell you that this entire ordeal is a disaster scenario for Arkansas on so many levels. Let's start with the first. Carius Curne is really freaking gifted. I have heard he runs in the sub 5 flat 40-yard dash range, and that is pretty ridiculous considering his size. He is firmly over 300 pounds, and it's not your typical sloppy 300 pounds. He is well built, and his frame actually has room for growth. He has a really explosive first step, and when he hits you, I mean, you go backwards, right, as you can clearly see in the background. Obviously, there are some technical aspects of his game that pretty much all offensive linemen at this level struggle with. You know, when you're going up against tiny guys that you're able to just throw around, your pad level can get very inconsistent. But the truth is, the guy has everything you want when it comes to being an elite offensive line prospect. And there are some close to Carius and in the recruiting atmosphere that wonders if offensive line is even his best position. He is a very explosive defensive line prospect as well. And, you know, when you see as an offensive line prospect, you then get into the question, where is his best position actually at the next level? Is he more of an offensive tackle? I think most view him as a guard. But either way, the guy is athletic enough to play both sides of the football and honestly any of the offensive line positions. So needless to say, this is a very nice pickup for LSU, but LSU has multiple other top 100 offensive linemen already committed for 2025. This would have been an even bigger deal for Arkansas. So let's start with the very clear-cut observation here that Arkansas rarely has elite prospects. And this statistic that I'm about to share when it comes to in-state recruiting under Sam Pittman is about to blow your mind. Since 2020, when Sam Pittman was hired, there have been 5 top 100 on 3 consensus prospects, and Pittman has only landed one of them. That is unacceptable. So this is where it really stings. This is the offensive line. This is supposed to be Sam Pittman's bread and butter. As you just saw, he has had 7 offensive linemen under his tutelage get selected in the first round. And LSU, look, LSU, they are an everything school. They produce pretty much studs at all positions. But the Tigers have not had a first-round offensive lineman selected since 1998. So LSU isn't even known as an offensive line brand, and Sam Pittman is the offensive line coach. If you were to ask most college football coaches, who do you want to develop your trenches, a lot would say Coach Pittman. But this is a case where he could not sell Carius Curne on the future. And I think this is where LSU really dominated in this aspect, in that LSU has a very nuclear coaching staff that is really well positioned for the future. They are killing it in 2025 recruiting. As you can see, a top 5 national class, and truth be told, LSU will have 2 first-rounders as offensive linemen in next year's NFL draft. So LSU has done a really good job under Brian Kelly, which by many accounts, when it comes to being a head coach, Brian Kelly has really produced so many elite Notre Dame offensive linemen. Joe Alt in this last class, and then obviously Quentin Nelson, a lot of people consider to be the best guard in the NFL. BK's done a really good job with that. But this is where it really hurts. It's not even really Brian Kelly. It's Sam Pittman, right? Because it's so easy to negative recruit against a coach that everyone thought was going to be gone at the end of next year. And if you were to ask most Arkansas fans and just really be rational about Pittman's situation, you would probably say it is more likely that he won't be the coach in 2025 when Carius Curne is going to be a true freshman than will be the coach, if that makes sense. So it's just so easy to sell against the future if you're any school going up against Arkansas for a recruit. And now this is where it gets really brutal, because there was this phrase you always hear it growing up: don't bite the hand that feeds you. Well, in this case, that is exactly what happened. So this is LSU offensive line coach Brad Davis, who owes a good bit of his career to Sam Pittman. Pittman coached Davis when he was a stud offensive lineman for the Oklahoma Sooners, and this is their career resumes next to each other. They were together at North Carolina, where Davis was hired as a GA under Sam Pittman, and then Sam Pittman eventually hired Brad Davis to be his offensive line coach at Arkansas, just for Davis, who is a Baton Rouge native, to eventually take the LSU job quickly the very next year. And look, what's very interesting is Brad Davis was the only coach that Brian Kelly kept from the Ed Orgeron regime. So in a way, it was kind of a miracle that Brad Davis was able to keep his job, but he also is just a very talented coach, and he deserves a lot of the credit for getting Carius Curne to LSU. Now, everything that was just mentioned lets you know that this is really bad for Sam Pittman. And if you were to, and just honestly imagine yourself if you are Sam Pittman's boss, you're telling me that a rare top 100 offensive line prospect in your own state was taken away from you, from the guy you mentored, to the biggest rival that Arkansas has to play every single season. That's why Sam Pittman probably should no longer be the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, unless a miracle with Taylon Green, Jaquindon Jackson, and the Hogs, unless they are just absolutely ridiculously good. I do think there is a world where Arkansas does miraculously pull off an 8 or a 9 win season, but that is a mythical world more than likely. This is just a bad day for Sam Pittman, as his 2025 class is starting to look worse and worse by the day. Oh, Arkansas fans, let me know in the comment section below, am I overreacting to this? Now, floating in your face right now is a very fun video on the worst calls in Razorback history, and here is my Taylon Green film study. And tonight, we are doing New York Strip. Let's go.